Hi guys, Ryan from leprivatebanker.com. Just going to do a recap for on what I saw in today's trade on crude oil, and I'm just going to quickly touch base on the S&P 500. So, as I suggested yesterday in crude oil, just looking at some of the high time frame stuff, we are testing very important macro support here into this $75 a barrel, and as I said last week, we see this large engulfing selling bar, and it's very similar to what happened here, but obviously different context, but where we sold down to key support, and we opened up the next month, and we sort of poked down to this support level and then found a buyer, and we sort of see a reversal here. So I'm not saying that this is a bottom here. I'm not saying that we're going to see a trade reversal or anything here. I'm just highlighting the fact that we are at key support, and we are currently acknowledging that we are at key support, and there is clearly some risk getting taken off of the table from longer term macro shorts here, which is to be expected. I mean, until we sort of see a breakdown below this $75 a barrel, we are rotational and we are still on a bracket. So these are a couple of things to note. We are still hanging into an outside year, so just have to see what happens as we continue to push here, but further here. But I mean, we have seen a very large, quite a large sell-off here on crude oil now. I mean, since the highs, we're down. What are we down? 25. We're down like $35 on crude. So I mean, it's quite a significant drop we've seen over the last couple months. So, and we see this big accumulation balance area for the last couple of weeks, and as we came into the new month, we broke down further here into this $75 a barrel support area, and we have seen a halt, and we are seeing responsive buyers. I'm just going to delete this level now. So you can see this very, very clear volume distribution that's been put in here from this previous balance. So I mean, if sellers do start to draw up here, then we could see further rotations, and we could possibly see a deeper pullback to this value area, and fill some volume here into the year's end. I mean, we've only realistically got 2 months left of the year, so obviously planning into the year's end. I mean, are we gonna close this year out on a very bearish note, or are we going to see some two-way trade come back into this market and a pullback to value and fill in some volume here? So just some sort of key things to take note of here. I mean, we are still in a downtrend, and we still are trading below some key levels here. So just something to be aware of now. I mean, we clearly made lower value last month, and we are currently holding lower value this month. So until we do see price come back in and accept last month's value, then we are still looking rotational to the sell side with the path of least resistance to the sell side. So again, we'll just have to see how this pans out now. But back to today's trade and what I saw and did on the day. We opened gap up, only by a few ticks, but regardless, we opened gap up. And so my first expectation was to try and be a buyer with rejection of the previous day's range. So off of the open, we see this sort of spike higher, and then we see sellers come in, pushing back in to an inside range, and we'd already started to see an imbalance to the buy side on crude. I mean, it was a difficult one because the developing value was still inside the previous day's value. So in this instance, we still do expect some rotational behaviour, but as you can clearly see here into the open, we had broken higher and we were pulling back to value. So what I started to try to do was basically buy the top of value with confluence off of the previous day's highs being 77.65. So I started to come in and sort of buy these 60s and 55s, and I ended up taking a small stop on this trade as we push back into value. And all I basically did is I just took a smaller stop, and then I waited for price to come back down and test this this previous day's value, lined up with the Vwap, and I started to execute off of the day's Vwap. I mean, it didn't quite reach it, but with the order flow that I was seeing at the time, I was seeing buyers sort of stacking up, and there were limit orders into this area. So I started to establish a long position. And this just happened to work out nice. We see rejection, we see buyers stepping in. I managed to get scaled out into the current day's highs, and I had enough on the table to hold this into crude inventories. I mean, I was already in a good position. I'd already established my risk, and I'd already scaled out. So in these sort of scenarios, with this context in play, there's no reason why you can't hold through the inventories. And this is exactly what I did here. And the inventory number came out, and we'd already started to see this move happen even before the inventory came out. I mean, the inventory number came out on this bar, and we just basically see a pullback to value. And on this pullback to value, with the order flow that I've seen, I just started to add to my position on this pullback, and we just see this massive rally higher. I mean, there was some news out today about a pipeline that exploded in Saudi Arabia, and I mean, this could have been the reason for this major volatility that come in here. I mean, if we do look at the TPOs for the day, that we just see this huge engulfing. How many ticks was this? From 77, say 80. It was a good 150 ticks roughly. I mean, it was a very, very large 2 periods, and we see it rotate all the way up, and then I basically see someone come in, and they seem to have capped the highs. See if I can find it. Just bear with me. Okay, so someone capped the highs. We see this sort of last push up after this small balance area that came in, micro balance after this large push up, and where's it gone? And we can see here that the price came up, we came down. We see some resting orders on the tape here. We see another wave of buying up. We see some resting sell orders here. It was just some mixed two-way trade, and on this last push up into this high, you can see these resting sell orders. And someone came and capped the highs with 259 contracts. And after this happened, we basically just free-falled back down. I mean, I basically just tried to trail my position, not knowing what was happening at the time, and the market came to the top of value and the previous Globex high, and I started to add to my position here with some small size, and I managed to get one scale as the volatility was good at the time, and as soon as we broke below this bar and we came back into value, I just exited my position. Then we came down, and we see the typical setup, which I'm not going to run through, and on these gap days with initial balance, and I started to re-establish my position again off of the previous day's highs, and with looking for rejection of the initial balance, and also lined up with the Globex Vwap and this Vwap. So then we see another rotation higher into the close. So had two pretty awesome trades today. I mean, we had this long position off of the open, and then we see this huge scale correction in the market, and just more volume getting filled in here. And as you can see, this is on very light volume. There was this big cluster of volume here, but there was very light volume. It basically came back down, refilled in that volume, and then continued to basically one time frame for the rest of the day. I mean, there was this one tick low off this bar, but obviously the expectations were to run higher. I mean, it was iffy, I suppose, at the time. I mean, this is what I was looking at. I mean, we could have balanced in this lower distribution, but with obviously the volatility and the buying that we come to see in the market, and the fact that we were still holding an outside day with price expiration to the buy side, I was still looking for a buy side imbalance into the close, and we didn't get up to this high to clean up this poor high that we see in the market, but we still had 2 very good trades on crude oil today. Also, just something to remember. I mean, anybody who's been selling this short, I mean, these are very good prices to start to cover some risk on your shorts. And again, we just came back. We tagged this 5 next pence for moving average, and quite interestingly, we tagged the breakout level. So we're sort of in this 12th wave downtrend now, and we broke out this previous bracket, and today we just see this V-shaped recovery and a pullback to basically the breakout level. So two things I can see potentially happening now. I mean, we're just going to see this market find some buyers in the tape, and we could potentially come back into this bracket balance area that we were trading in before, which will be back into last month's value, and we could possibly see a destination trade, or we're going to still see sellers on the tape. We're going to see a rejection of this key breakout, and we're going to see a new balance two-way trade form in this area. So we just have to continue to monitor this current auction process very carefully now. But I mean, today we came back in, and we filled this big gap that we left from the breakdown on yesterday. And so again, like I said, we've seen two-way trade in the market. We see potential one time frame in, and so now one time frame is taken out. So we just have to see what happens here now. I mean, like I said, we're very extended and we're very oversold, and we are currently sitting on the key macro support levels. I'm just quickly touching base on the S&P 500. I mean, yesterday I came in and I started to sell the S&P on this gap down to the 5 exponential moving average. And what I was potentially looking to do was maybe it was to see if we could see a short-term swing down. I mean, we see at the end of last month we see this nice sort of punch higher, and we basically see new contract highs on the S&P. And on this day here, we see a new contract high, and then we open gap down the next day. And I was basically looking for some backfilling in this market, possibly down to sort of the 80s, 90s. I mean, we are trading a little bit. We are trading far away from any established value on the Vwaps. So what I was looking for was possibly some sellers to come in here, and again with the idea that anybody who's long on this market to start coming in and covering some risk on the long side portfolios. And it just never happened. We see the spike down, we close this gap out, and we have left a smaller gap here, and we just see these responsive buyers back off of the 5 exponential moving average. So I mean, I managed to get half my position scaled into the 5, and then obviously with the recovery we saw here on this day, this is where I got short from, and we recovered all the way back up, and we see this balance here for the rest of the day. So we see this again V-shaped recovery. So I'm not going to hold a short position where, again, now our expectation is to test the highs of this market. I mean, this is the current composite that I'm tracking, and this is where I was expecting the market to retrace to, at least back to this sort of 90s and 85s, come back and possibly find some more buyers from here. But we just didn't see that, and we're now establishing higher value, and we're putting in more volume into the highs. So the expectation now is to put new highs in and see where we go from there. I mean, I'm still looking for a potential blow off top here, and so maybe an opportunity to see a nice swing back down here and close out some of these gaps on this light volume that we've seen come in for the last 14 days with this imbalance to the buy side. So we just again have to see how this market behaves from here now. I mean, we are, like I said, we put in a new contract high today again, so just be interesting to see. Now we've seen this micro balance come into the market. I mean, we've got untested value from last month, and but we've clearly built higher value rotational on this week, and the quarterly. I mean, like I said, I was just expecting a pullback here, but you can see this huge volume that's coming at this high now, and obviously this is not the end of this auction. This is showing demand this is showing a demand on fair prices. So I am the expectation is to see this market to potentially run higher here. I mean, I've got some short-term sort of targets into the 50s, 60s, and we'll see what happens from there. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that, and I will touch base when I see some more information on what I'm seeing on this market. Anyway, bit of a long video today, and I hope everyone did well today. I mean, I did warn you all at the beginning of the week that we were most likely going to see some increased volatility, especially in crude oil. So I hope you all traded safe today, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Take care and goodbye.